You go, Rick.
He pulls down, but I'm not that tall.
Ricky Rick. Justin Bieber?
Let me tell you a story. Once upon a time in the year of 1999, a little girl with a full set of black curly hair and lively big brown eyes was born. Born into what we call today the hood, where the streets came to life at night, cop lights shine bright, and the next morning would find out someone else died. Little did she know she was about to face a life ahead full of mourn. Her parents already split, dad's nowhere in the picture, he straight dipped. Being raised by her 17-year-old mom, who was still just trying to survive on her own. A kid raising a kid. She was tired of being alone, so she met a man who seemed to have this 5-year plan. He stole her heart, and they were so in love. So in love that they brought 2 more little girls into the world. They were perfectly happy. They had everything they ever wanted. That little girl thought she finally found a man she could call dad. So one day, everything seemed fine. If you were to look from afar, you would see nothing but laughs and smiles. But behind the doors of their home that dreadful dark day, hell literally broke loose. With her mom crouched in the corner, beaten black and blue, her blood on his knuckles, and with her little girl's hair entangled between every wrinkle of his fingers, he pulls her off the floor higher and higher. Her sister in the other room, the little girl cried, hoped, and prayed, God, please don't let him lay a hand on them. Her next following days looked exactly the same. She continued to take every hit and plays for her sisters. She became immune to his hits. And as that man realized he was no longer hurting her, he took it further and further. He began to use her to satisfy his own pleasures. He would say to her, I do this because I love you. She never said anything to anyone because she knew what he would have done. She felt this was the only way to be loved. Traumatized, terrified, and petrified. These were the ways this little girl lived her life day by day. With her 2 sisters watching her every move, she knew there was no room for her emotions. So she consumed every one of them, bottled and sealed it tight within the deepest depth of her heart. This caused her to grow up faster than the other kids around her. Instead of playing at a park, she was at home defending her mom from the hits of that man. Instead of playing with dolls, she took care of her sisters. Enough is enough, her mom screamed. The next day, while he was at work with the clothes on their back and little to no money, and no idea where they were going, they threw themselves into that yellow taxi. That little girl sat in the car looking out at the window, watching every tree and bird pass by. And then in that moment, she felt free from it all. But was she?
I once knew a kid named Ricky. You see, Ricky was always mad. Mama raised him solo, so you know he grew up without a dad. Mom wasn't around, she couldn't give him what she had. You see, so the streets took him in and raised him like that dad. He started banging at a young age. 10 to be exact, he was locked up in that cage. All of the emotions locked inside, fits of rage. So he started causing chaos when he got about that cage.
now being 11 years old. Still with a heart that was broken and cold, living with her dad who missed out on the first 6 years of her life, and her stepmom who absolutely despised her. Growing up, school wasn't any easier. Bullied by other girls in pretty sparkly skirts and high ponytails, being utterly humiliated constantly by her so-called friends. She lost trust in girls and found herself more comfortable with the guys, so she dressed in skater tees and jeans, and she learned how to be mean. She consumed the comments of her bullies and allowed them to make their way into her heart with the rest of the junk inside. As a wall that was built within her heart grew taller, the lower her self-esteem became. Coming home, she would find her dad passed out with a bottle in his hand, reeking of beer, blasting his music too loud for the ear. She believed the answer to her problem was within that funny-smelling liquid inside that Corona bottle. Too drunk to realize that little girl took the bottle out of her dad's hand, and that's when the real fun began. With a drink here and a drink there, she kept drinking without even gasping for air. And that was it. She was hooked. Every bit of her she felt would disappear more and more by every drink she took. She loved the sensation of feeling numb, the feeling of not remembering. But beer didn't satisfy her for long, so she moved on to the stronger drinks. And you're probably wondering how she got a hold of these things? Nobody knows. One day after school, a friend of hers sneaked a bottle of vodka. She downed it and everything became a blur. One moment she was with her friends, the next she was all alone. With no one there, just the sounds of the wind in the air, she stumbles her way back home to find her dad once again drinking his life away. She brushes it off and goes to her room. In the next hour or two, her dad comes in. He shuts the door behind him and he turns the lights off. And barely able to even see his shadow, she begins to tremble in fear, not knowing what was about to happen. He places his hand on her. Flashbacks of what the man did before began to play in her head. In simpler words, history repeated itself. Ending with the same words from the man before, I do this because I love you. This continued for another year. No longer she seen him as dad. Now he was just another man who used her for his own dark personal plans. In her mind, this was the only way she thought she could be loved. So she got with guy after guy. No longer was she shy. She had nothing left to hide. She fought everything she can. She accepted the fact that this was her life. Unless, what if she wasn't alive? One night with no one home, just her and her thoughts, and with a blade in her hand, tears pouring down her face, she was tired of running this race called life. She made one slit after another, cutting deeper and deeper into her arm, thinking that the deeper she cut, the quicker her problems would disappear. Her blood began flowing out with her blood, and as she watched every drop trickle down her arm, she felt such a relief, knowing that in a couple minutes she was no longer going to be able to breathe. She began to look at every cut and realized it wasn't enough. Slicing more and more, her tears intensified. She wasn't crying because it hurt, but crying because his cut still didn't work. She was still alive, but she couldn't understand how or why.
Let's see.
So let's turn the page. And as Ricky got up out that cage, started unleashing that rage. And as Ricky got older, his heart grew colder. Sick and tired of the pain, carried the world on his shoulder. So he started pushing rock, gang banging and smoking doja. Death was coming closer. He had the 40 in the holster. 21 hit the pin, ripping like he was supposed to. But when he got out, he had an encounter with Jehovah.
She kept her almost suicide a secret. Embarrassed that it was a failed attempt, so embarrassed that she fled. And started out spending a week at her mom's she belonged somewhere. Without even knowing it, her answer was right around the corner. She was given a flyer by a woman with an odd look. This woman had long hair split down the middle, tattoos on her neck and down her forearms. Her lips were outlined in a dark lip liner. But there was something even more odd about her. The shirt she wore said, "Jesus changed my life at Victory Outreach." And she wore it proud. This woman shared with her that she used to run these streets when she was younger, that she'd been shot, she was a drug addict for 6 years, and so on. This little girl couldn't believe what she was hearing. She thought to herself, nah, this can't be real. What's really her deal? The woman's next words were words the little girl had never heard before. She said, "I'm here to let you know that Jesus loves you, and he has a plan and purpose for your life, and I don't know what you're going through, but God wants you to know that he has never left you." And shedding a tear, the little girl crumbled the fire in her hand and said, "If God was real, and if he never left me, then where was he when that man and my own dad hurt me? Where was he when I was being bullied? Where was he when I was cutting my own wrist?" She threw the fire on the floor and ran away. That night, as she laid in her bed, those women's words kept running through her head. It can't be true. God can't love someone like me. Nobody loves me. Next morning, 7 a.m. on the dot, her mom enters her room and yells, "Get up, we're going to church." And on they went. "We're here," her mom says. The little girl looks out the window, and she couldn't believe her eyes. On the sign it read, "Victory Outreach Church of Chino, a people you can call family, a place you can call home." Walking in, you heard the choir from a mile away. You saw grown men with tattoos that covered their bodies from head to toe in suits, bawling in tears with their hands lifted high, singing, "I love you, Lord." "This is our church," her mom said. 3 months later, it's still faithfully going. It was the day her mom was getting baptized. She places her hand over her nose, the minister dumps her in the water. She comes back up with the biggest smile on her face, a smile the little girl had never seen before. And as her mom lines up on the altar, the pastor begins to call out, "If there's any of you that would like to give your life to God, today's the day." As the little girl sat there in her seat and heard those words, she began to feel uncomfortable. A weird feeling in her stomach began to turn, her palms sweatier than ever. In that moment, the little girl felt that he was talking directly to her. She stood up and stood there motionless. The thoughts in her mind were saying, "What are you doing? This isn't for you. God doesn't love you. Why would he?" Battling herself, the little girl was about to sit right back down when the pastor made his last call. Some of you feel that God doesn't want someone like you. I'm here to tell you that's a lie. He died for people like you and I. And that was it. With tears pouring down her face, the little girl walks down to the altar, not fully knowing what she was doing, but knowing that she was tired of life and out of ideas on how to keep on going. She raised her hands high and repeated the words, "God, I give you my life. It's all yours. I surrender." An overwhelming peace filled her heart. A warmth filled her heart when a man her father had stolen from her had been restored. She was free, but this time for real. 6 years later, and she is still standing. With a positive mind, forgiveness in her heart. 6 years sober, she is a discipler, a leader with a heart for lost souls, called to be a missionary, an alumni of the Panama Urban Training Center. Woo! And now she's here, ready for her chance to say, "Send me, I'll go." My name is Crystal, and this is my testimony.
Amen.
Crystal, I just want to commend you. That was deep. Caleb asked me, I'm going to be real, Caleb asked me to come do a spoken word. I never did a spoken word. I know how to rap, right? But I commend you, Crystal. That was deep. Anyways, so it goes like this. So this is the next part of my life. See, he's the reason I did it. The reason why I'm living. Motivation when I spit it. He's the reason I'm committed. My sins been forgiven. No more smoking and sipping. Now I'm planted on the rock. No more falling and slipping. I'm planted on the rock. Got a solid foundation. Cause I was going crazy like a mental patient. Had a gang of drugs. Had a gang of money. Had a gang of homies. But I still felt lonely. I a man, but on the inside I was dying slowly. Looking for a way, my sister said she's praying for me. A G faithfully, mama pray for me. Little homie stay in school, stay away from me. I grew up rough and rugged, thought my whole life was gonna be on the block dugging. But glory be to God and everything he did for me. See, this my mom, this my life in a song, this my living testimony. If it wasn't for the Lord's love, grace, and his mercy, I'd probably be dead with bullet holes in my jersey. If it wasn't for the Lord's love, grace, and his mercy, I'd probably be dead with bullet holes in my jersey.